Mr. Frog is many things. A famous actor, an Oscar winner, the current holder of the Nobel Peace Prize. But most importantly, he's cancelled. But how did this lovable icon who once held the world at his fingertips come into such ruin? Well, in order to find that out, let's get into the video. The creators of Smiling Friends, Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel, have stated publicly that the Mr. Frog Show was actually the original idea for Smiling Friends.
We had the character of Mr. Frog before we had Pim and Charlie. He predates them.
Yeah, he was the first I think it was like the first Smiling Friends drawing ever, too.
And that the entire premise of the show would be focused on Mr. Frog and his mishandling of fame. However, after some deliberation with the team, they all decided that this was pretty ridiculous.
Adam Ployne rightly said, and I'm going to say it on the record, rightly said, you have to be drunk or high to like that. What are you doing? That sucks. And he was right.
And so, Smiling Friends was brought into the world as we know it today, with Mr. Frog being the second ever person that the Smiling Friends help after their silly, wacky, and totally not traumatizing adventure with Desmond in the pilot episode.
Pip, did you want to show Desmond anything else, or are we good?
Okay, so what is it about Mr. Frog that makes him so special in this world? I mean, after all, his show is simply centered around him eating a bug and telling the audience that he loves them.
I'm Mr. Frog. This is my show. I ate the bug. I ate the bug. This is the end. I love you.
Well, everything. You see, the Mr. Frog Show ran for a whopping total of 47 seasons, with incredible levels of fandom at the time creating what was known as Frog Mania. However, much like every other show that runs for a long period of time, fans and critic alike are always going to have their favourite seasons.
You know, I've never seen the Mr. Frog Show. Is it any good?
I mean, you really only have to watch like season 4 through 17, pretty much. The rest you can just skip.
And it's clear to see that the studio executives are also very fond of the Mr. Frog Show, with practically their entire offices being a shrine to Mr. Frog himself, with Mr. Frog carpets and Funko Pops and lampshades, and quite possibly the best of all, these studio execs even painted the entire canvas of the creation of Adam, an incredibly religious painting, and put Mr. Frog in the place of God. And if that isn't top tier glazing, then I don't know what is.
It's glaze! We're stepping in the glaze category.
However, as the wise Stoic philosopher Aristotle once stated, why the glaze? I mean, why were these studio executives so keen on Mr. Frog that they practically see him as a god? Well, that's easy to answer, as the Mr. Frog comeback special is expected to pull in 200 million viewers, which is almost double the viewers of the last Super Bowl, or approximately 60% of the entire population of the United States, making Mr. Frog quite possibly the most valuable person in television history. And it's not just television that Mr. Frog is known for, as he's also been in just about every movie ever created, such as Bridget Jones's Diary, The Godfather, which of course is now The Frogfather.
You don't offer friendship. You don't even think to call me Godfather.
And The Joker, with Alan even dressing up as Mr. Frog's Joker for Halloween.
Why don't you just put on some face paint and be a zombie or something?
Dude, face paint gets people in way more trouble than anything else.
And of course, with all of this public success, Mr. Frog has been able to rub shoulders with the elite of society, with Mr. Frog famously being pictured with former President Bill Clinton. And boy, I wonder what those two got up to. And this fame has also allowed for Mr. Frog to live an incredibly lavish and decadent lifestyle, with his 5-story mansion including a large Mr. Frog statue, a gym, a home theater, a firing range, and of course, an incredibly dangerous animal sanctuary.
And you've even got a beautiful animal sanctuary.
However, that which rises must also fall. And Mr. Frog, much like many of the celebrities we see in LA today, let all of the fame get to his head. And his celebrity status comes crashing down all at once when Mr. Frog puts a TMZ reporter in his mouth for a full 7 minutes.
But all of that changed last Friday when the beloved American icon put a TMZ reporter in his mouth.
And so, after this, Charlie persuades Pim to help him get Mr. Frog's life back on track. However, it's not only Mr. Frog's self-destructive personality that Charlie and Pim have to contend with, as it turns out that the studio executives are quite keen on making money. and thus, as a result, start immediately auditioning candidates to take the place of the now cancelled Mr. Frog.
We have Jacob the Goblin from the Enchanted Forest.
Hello, I'm Mr. Frog.
Hey,
Yes?
get out.
And ultimately, Glep ends up winning this role, beating out countless competitors in the process. And I find this scene so funny personally because it highlights the lengths that people will go to try and get even a crumb of the success that Mr. Frog had previously.
The rest of you degenerates can go home.
I missed my daughter's wedding for this.
And this all goes to prove just how powerful Mr. Frog is in this world. And the downward spiral only continues for Mr. Frog, as despite Pim and Charlie organizing many ways for Mr. Frog to repair his public image, it's evident that Mr. Frog himself doesn't want to change his ways.
Oh, can I get a selfie with you, Mr. Frog?
Hey, no, hey,
Stop,
come on, let go of him, Mr. Frog.
And much like many of the tragic tales we hear involving celebrities, many of Mr. Frog's problems are worsened by hard substances. And so, in yet another attempt to revive Mr. Frog's public image, Pim forces Mr. Frog to go completely cold turkey sober. And yeah, this goes just about as well as you think it would.
I can just tell you right now this one isn't gonna work.
And whilst Mr. Frog is spiraling out of control, Glep is being introduced to just how brutal life is as a television star, as Rex, the main studio executive, starts to act in an incredibly abusive manner towards Glep, whilst also mounting an unfair amount of pressure on Glep to carry on in the legacy of Mr. Frog.
You don't want to ruin your career like Mr. Frog in front of all those people, do you? Great! See you tomorrow morning for the big shoot.
And in my opinion, the subplot of Glep and Rex is done so well, as not only does it draw parallels to the mistreatment of young and inexperienced actors in Hollywood, but it also gives reasoning for all of Mr. Frog's trauma, as well as the subsequent coping mechanisms, such as hard substances, that Mr. Frog has used to deal with all the pressure of being a big star. And this abusive mismanagement from Rex is clearly reflected in the way that Mr. Frog treats people, as now that he has all the power that he once craved, the abuse cycle is finally able to be complete, with Mr. Frog lashing out at even the most loyal of his fans. However, no good story is complete without a redemption arc, and Mr. Frog finally finds his redemption by going on The Jimmy Fallon Show, and opening up about all of his time in the industry and all of his personal issues as well.
Probably working with all those filthy.
Okay, yeah, so that didn't exactly go to plan. Nevertheless, the comeback episode of Mr. Frog is finally ready to air in front of a live audience and over 200 million people worldwide. However, the overbearing interference of the studio executive Rex and his complete aversion to anything that could be seen as controversial or toxic has stripped the Mr. Frog show of any of its original wonder, with all of the show's die-hard fans in uproar at the newly reformed show. And so, $250 million down the drain later, Mr. Frog shows up and finally tries to apologize for all of the misdeeds that he has done. However, Rex once more interferes, telling Mr. Frog that he's too toxic for modern society, and that he'll never work on the show again.
You've shown how toxic you truly are. You're done. You've been replaced. And here's the contract to prove it.
And, well, it looks like that's it. I mean, Rex has the contract to prove it, after all, so maybe Mr. Frog truly is done forever. That's right, Mr. Frog does what he's done best throughout his entire career, and he eats the bug. And with that, the whole world goes into Frogmania once more, with even the person that he strangled at his autograph session springing into the air to rejoice the return of Mr. Frog. And this clip goes completely viral, with over 2 billion views on YouTube alone, and with this leverage, Mr. Frog is finally able to produce an independent program from his home. And of course, without all the studio interference, he can take home 100% of the profits, making him truly one of the wealthiest people to ever exist. Although, having said that, Mr. Frog is still completely unhinged at the end of the episode.
Arguably making Mr. Frog one of the richest and most powerful men on the planet.
Hello.
And so, in my opinion, this is one of Smiling Friends' most brilliant and introspective episodes, as it allows us to laugh at the sheer wealth and opulence that being a celebrity has enabled Mr. Frog, whilst also making some genuinely powerful points about the misuse of power, particularly towards younger people, that we continue to witness to this day throughout many different industries. So, let me know in the comments which Smiling Friends character or episode would you like me to make a video on next, and also what do you expect we'll see in season 2 of Smiling Friends. And I can't lie, I'm so excited for season 2. I really hope that we see more episodes featuring Alan and the rest of the side characters, as well as more truly brilliant characters like Mr. Frog. And hey, maybe we'll see more of this mega famous TV and movie star as season 2 progresses. Oh, and as always, stay safe, stay wacky, stay smiling.